A serious question, though. If history is purposely turned around backward in a lot of aspects, right? Can you see how the historical context of how we go forward can be lost? And what does that do for real? That puts people in charge who may know the real history, who make weird moves, but in fact, those weird moves are historically correct, because most of these guys believe in this, that whatever happened before is going to happen again. They believe in this. So if you were in power and reversed history, and you had people believing in a history that wasn't quite accurate, they could not navigate the future. They couldn't. And because you know this, what you could do is navigate it for them. And when your outcome was different than theirs, they would entrust you with leadership, and you could control them. All because you reversed elements of history. That's precisely what has happened today. In the Bible, it says there's nothing new under the sun. Here's the problem. If you're taught a lie about where you came from, how do you know where you're going? You will repeat things that are hard-coded into you genetically, right? Unless you have such discipline that you would obey the spirit above the flesh in all degrees. But if you don't know that, you're going to start doing things you won't understand why. Most people right now today, they don't understand how their life turned out the way it is. They'll say, well, I don't know how I got here. I don't know what possessed me to do this and do that. The truth is, if you knew all the people that were behind you and what they did, you would see your natural instincts in everything you do today. Now, all your instincts can be overrode by your spirit. You know that, don't you? When you have the spirit, your flesh no longer matters. It doesn't matter what your flesh was. It matters what your spirit is, because the spirit can override the flesh. But if you don't have the spirit, if you don't operate by the spirit, you're left to the devices of the flesh. You're not going to know where you're going. And you can easily be put in somebody's control when they start leading you into places that you can never lead yourself into. You're going to entrust them with leadership. That's what's happening right now. That's what's catching the world right now. Right now. Lordy, Lordy. Michael, I'm back in Indian Caucasian, but I am questioning about what is true. Can you go deeper? Well, Robin, look, if you're questioning about I'm also questioning about what am I, right? I'm like a box of chocolates. So a lot of us are questioned, right? But you have to make sure you know something. I say this from the heart. Make sure you know who you are in your Father, not in your flesh. You know, I had to get bold one day because somebody asked me, they said, well, you know, your grandfather, so-and-so, and this, that, we know this, and we know this, and we know that about you and this, and they assume the traits of your ancestors or whatever are in you, right? But one day I broke down in boldness, and it was probably the hardest thing I could have ever said. You want to know what it was? When I was being evaluated in my past, who your dad is and who your grandfather is, all that is relevant when you're being, when you're put in the hot seat, so to speak. When you're about to go forward with organizations, they look at your family tree. And I had to tell him one time, I said, my father's Jehovah, the living God. And I have a born-again spirit, which nullifies the instincts of flesh. Well, needless to say, after I said that, that was a day I really didn't have a future. But I had to break down and say it was one of the hardest things I said. In other words, I don't go forward based on flesh and based on my ancestors and based on what they did. I'm guided by a new set of principles that are bound in Christ Jesus. And and it's for the Lord. That's how I go forward. No longer by flesh, not ruled by instincts. But see, that was one of the hardest things I could do, because I was consciously breaking all the strength you can gather from your family members. And you may have a family member with this type strength and that type strength. I said, no more for that. No more of that. No more of that. Because if you're given a born-again spirit and you're to die to your flesh daily, how can you go forward through any strength of flesh given by what was passed down to you? If you have a born-again spirit, then you have a born-again spirit. And if we're to die to the flesh, then we're not living our lives by what was passed down to us, but by a brand new set of principles and desires. Living life with a brand new set of eyes, right? Because you're not walking by flesh anymore. So you don't draw upon those instinctual things by your parents, by your grandparents, by the greatness of this person or that person. You don't do that anymore. But I'll tell you something, it's hard to do. You'd be surprised how many people believe, but they have not broken ties with that. They won't do it. They won't do it because they can't see any other way to go forward. It's a hard thing to do because you're stepping on the water. You're not stepping on solid ground, something that you're used to, something you can navigate. Nope. You're stepping on water, and the problem with stepping on water is you don't know if it's 1 inch deep or 1 mile deep. It's the unknown. To walk on the water is to begin to live your life in the unknown. No comforts to your left, no comforts to your right. One of the significance of Peter walking on the water was he walked in the unknown because of Christ only for a little while. But listen, then when he realized he could not catch himself on the left or the right or the back, he began to sink. He began to sink out of what? Out of what? He had no comforts. When you walk on water, there are no comforts. There is no plan B. And where was Christ? He was standing on the water. To get to Christ, Peter had to walk on the water at first, didn't he? But then Jesus said, I'll do you one better. You thought you had to walk on the water to come and meet me. Wrong. I'm coming to you. I'll alleviate the task of you having to walk on any water. You don't even have to leave your comfort zone. Just let me in. Just hear me. That's why he stands at the door and he knocks. Isn't that awesome? He came to your place of comfort to knock at your door. He did that. You didn't go out on the water to go meet him. He came to your door, your place of comfort, your place of security. He came where you are to knock. That takes away. That just alleviates a large path that hardly any of us would have probably succeeded in. But he came to meet us, and he did so for a reason. He's not asking us to walk on water. Did you notice? He's not asking us to do the impossible either. Did you notice? What's the one thing Jesus said? The one thing he did ask us to do. Does anybody know the consistent thing he asked us to do? And I tell you, most of the questions we have so far are summed up in this. There's one thing he asked us to do. Anybody know what that is? He said, believe in me. Believe in me. That's it. He did not say, go walk 1,000 miles in this direction or that direction. No, he said, believe in me. Just believe in me. Now, let me ask you something. Let me ask everybody something before we go to break. He said, believe in me. Let me ask you this, though. I'm going to challenge it when I get back. How many people actually believe in Christ? How many actually believe in Christ? And if you will allow me, can we all challenge that tonight? Can we all challenge that tonight to refine that one question? Can we do that? Can we challenge that? Can we do that? But can we challenge that one? Can we believe in him? Do we believe in him? Because I'll tell you something. I said that one time, and when I thought about it, something else was taking place. See, sometimes we can say a thing, but the truth is, we're so distant from what we just said. And none of us really want to be distant from actually believing in him. And to believe in him, you must remember certain things he said. Right? That means there's some checks and balances in our process of thinking that may not align with the Lord. And you know what? All these things are relevant because the assault that's coming, the pressure will come first by mankind. The spiritual aspect to what's coming is not measurable. I'm amazed sometimes because I see people, they go out here, they believe in ghosts and goblins and E.T., they believe in fairies and all this other stuff. But they will not believe in the resolve of Jesus Christ. They will not believe in the sovereignty of the living God. They refuse, but they'll believe in every component of existence except for the Creator and the King of creation. That is mind-boggling. It really is. Mind-boggling. But that's precisely where the world is. And if you're not careful, that's a very slippery slope. We're not talking about we're not talking about the grammar thing here. Slippery slopes and all those things. No metaphors, right? But if we're not careful, we can be caught in a trap of thinking or going through the process and exercising ways like we believe in him without ever believing in him. That can happen. Let me put you to the test. Here it is. You ready? If you ever feared a situation, no matter what it was, if you ever feared a situation, in that moment, you did not believe in him for what he is. Think about it. Somebody says, what do the 10 kings do for 1 hour when they receive power with the beast? It says 10 kings who have received no kingdom as of yet, but will 1 hour with the beast, they'll give their kingdom to the beast. For God has put it into their hearts. He put it into their hearts to fulfill his will and to give their kingdom to the beast. So these 10 kings who have received no power as of yet are unseen. Nobody sees them. They receive power with the beast 1 hour, right? Now, that's not our hour, right? But they receive power as kings. They give that power over to the beast. But why? It's because God the Father put it in their hearts. God the Father put a desire in the hearts of the 10 kings to give their kingdom over to the beast. I'll say that one more time. God the Father put it in their hearts to give their kingdom over to the beast 1 hour. Why? So that the scriptures will be fulfilled. Those will be the days of vengeance. God put it in their hearts to give their kingdom over to the beast 1 hour. to fulfill his will. His indignation will not turn away. And those 10 kings that grant their power over to the one, then you'll see your coalition. By all the rights of man, they will trample the one that rides atop the dragon. Does not want to ride atop the dragon. And the dragon hates the one that rides atop her. And he will trample her underfoot 40 and 2 months. You know who that is? That's why he put it in the hearts of the 10 kings to give their power over to the beast, to accomplish the will of God.